figure out how to lead into this topic with a Happy New Year, I guess.
Yeah.
'Cause
Indeed.
hopefully, maybe this will just become an annual tradition in the coming years, as a lot of things. This is probably going to happen with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Coming up, just because of how time works and how there's a lot of popular iconography from this
It's
time
surprising
period.
that it happened with this company in particular, though.
Yeah, and well, I'll let you can't you did you can bring up
Well, I'd like to announce we're putting our hat in the race. ThereWillBeDuds will also be producing a competing gross out horror comedy of Steamboat Willie, which is now in the public domain. It is now in which I feel like I've read statistics that Disney has, like, they've got their thumb on the scale in some way where they can, like, change copyright laws, or like copyright laws are changed so specifically so their stuff does not enter the public domain. And it's weird that Steamboat Willie is the one where they're like, whatever, who gives a shit? Yeah. And immediately, because like this happened last year with I didn't even know there was like a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, like.
Oh, you hadn't heard of that one?
I mean, I might have heard about it, but I think it might have sounded so stupid that I just put it into the back.
I mean, I didn't bother watching it. It's more just like I don't have any interest in watching it. Probably these, but it's a fun, like, exercise in, I guess, artistic expression and restriction.
Yeah. If Mr. Gay wanted to find that filing cabinet, he would have to go pretty far in to find where I stored Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. The only reason I learned about that was I watched Critical's worst movies of the year video that he put out, and that was on there.
Yeah, that's right.
The fact that, like, so many of these movies are being announced and have teaser trailers means that, like, they've probably been anticipating this happening for like a while now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a handful of Steamboat Willie horror movies. What was one of these? One of them was just called like Mickey's Mousetrap or something like that.
Yeah, that was one I saw. Yeah.
Which again, we were kind of talking before we hit record, like differentiating between Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie, because I feel like the character of Mickey Mouse, they would not let that go. They would not let that fall into the public domain. Like, I feel like that's like their number one IP, the most recognizable character. Like, people know Steamboat Willie, but I feel like they know it like in a vacuum of that cartoon. Like, there's not like
holding the wheel one.
Which, of course, now that it's public domain, all day on my Twitter feed, people have just been posting like Steamboat Willie doing the most rancid shit I've ever seen. There's like Steamboat Willie in like the cockpit of an airplane going into the Twin Towers. There's one that's like someone took that, that little animation of him doing that on the boat, and he's just jerking off. Like, it's people have been on a wild one with Steamboat Willie today.
Yeah, I saw little Joel posted a video called Gay Steamboat Willie, and it was just he played the short in full and just voiced it over, very like Bozo dubbed over levels of dubbing. And he's just like, hey, this is me, I'm Mickey Mouse and I'm gay. Oh no, there's my boyfriend, don't do gay things to me. Like, that's the whole thing.
Oh no.
It's even better with this because I guess Disney owns copyright or somewhat or something over Winnie the Pooh too, because they make those like movies or shorts or whatever. But like this is like their guy, and Disney is so like ironclad, tight-fisted on like holding their copyright and like putting down anybody who like even comes close to, showing like any of their stuff that they own the rights to, that like it makes it all the sweeter that this is out there and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, were we talking about that on the show or in person, like off air, about like Disney being weird about people like even filming stuff in the park?
I think we talked about it on a couple episodes back about, I don't remember what exactly,
but yeah, it's just, Disney is so like iron-fisted about this kind of stuff. It was just kind of weird to actually see one slip out.
Mm-hmm. And
so I'm sure
again,
one of these will be a dud.
At least, yeah. But yeah, that it is like it's their mascot. It's Mickey Mouse, one of the most recognizable like icons in history, really.
Oh yeah. And like on one hand, I'm like, yeah, artistically, these are just going to be, the schlockiest, cash grabbiest pieces of shit, worst movies ever.
For sure.
But also, when it, looking at it from like the perspective of like a giant mega corporation that is just like sucking up film studios and companies, small victory.
Yeah.
Eat it.
Yeah.
Eat it. Here's one thing that you can't indefinitely control forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe once they make like a Jewish interpretation of Steamboat Willie, they'll be like, no, because that's a real thing, right? Walt Disney was apparently anti-Semitic or something like that.
I can't speak to 100% certainty, but I
allegedly
pretty sure.
I guess Disney can pull some strings.
Yeah.
Just like the laser sight like comes out on my forehead, and I'm like, just kidding, allegedly. I feel like that's the joke, is that he was cryogenically frozen, wants to live forever, and also was like notoriously anti-Semitic. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fun to kick a guy when he's dead.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gents, the show There Will Be Duds. This is episode 132, and I am your co-host, TJ, and with me as always,
I am Nick.
And as always, we watched a movie.
Oh!
That movie being Blue Velvet from 1986, directed by David Lynch. It follows a college student, Jeffrey Beaumont. He returns home after his dad suffers a stroke, heart attack, something. So he returns home to kind of tend to him, to see him, and kind of gets what's the word I'm looking for? Inextricably. I don't know if that's not the right word. Entangled in a world of I don't know, lounge singers, romantic
underbellies.
Yeah,
an underbelly.
A weird, twisted relationship between a singer lady and this psychopath man who does stuff. Don't really specifically know. They just are bad guys and criminals and stuff. Kind of takes it upon himself to try to help this lady out, I guess. And I suppose that's it. It's not too complex of a story, I guess, when you break it down. As I guess a lot of his stories are. Pretty simple if you try to take it from a just straight story standpoint.
Nice. Very nice.
But as it is David Lynch, there's of course, other things at play, other
oh yes,
elements and whatnot. This is his it's weird to think that like this far, like it's halfway through the 80s. It's weird to think how like I wonder, coming into I don't know, like knowing him, like growing up, I'm like, oh, he's like the weird filmmaker guy. He's really like crazy, creepy scenes. He does like avant-garde sort of art house movies. That's how, that's who he is. But really, up to this point, he had done Eraserhead and then 2 like studio movies, and then this. And this isn't even like rewatching this. This isn't that Lynchy, really. It has like a couple.
There's
moments,
elements,
but
yeah,
it's mostly like a pretty, I guess, normal movie compared to like his style that he would come to be known for. But it doesn't have a lot of the, trippy, like, extended dream sequences. I say extended because there is one, like, 20-second dream sequence that's kind of a little weird. But yeah, so it's weird to think that, like, he, like, Twin Peaks, I guess, was kind of where he first really stretched his wings after Eraserhead as far as, like, getting into weirder stuff.
Yeah, because this movie... I mean, it received a hugely divided critical response. The amount of like the language and the sexuality and like the violence and the violent sexuality, I think a lot of people were very disturbed by it. I think I was
feel about this. I could
yeah,
yeah, at the time or whatever.
Yeah, like I feel like I was reading in the Criterion booklet that people were like at its premiere, people were like running out of the theater. Like he said, they weren't leaving; they were like running out of it. Yeah, this is the second time I've seen this movie. The first time I saw it was like right before COVID happened. Like we saw it at the Wealthy Theater. Like we had just like signed up for their like yearly like membership, so it's like you pay cheaper tickets, you get access to the bar. That was kind of the thing. We saw Fargo, we saw this, and then COVID happened, and then this is the first time I've seen it since 2020. And I think this second viewing was I enjoyed it when I saw it in 2020. But I think having already seen it, this was one of those viewings where I really got to like take in more of it, where I kind of know what's going on. I know where the story's going. So I can like take in more of like the bigger stuff, the bigger ideas. And it's funny that we always reference, that high school trope of like, oh, maybe the curtains are just blue. And now we're watching a movie with blue curtains. And, there are some Lynch hallmarks that do show up, albeit very much lessened. I would say a lot of the influence for like Twin Peaks, I would say, is the dialogue is like here. Because
this is so like in tandem with Twin Peaks. It really does feel like a kind of almost like prototype for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially with like Kyle MacLachlan as like his sort of very chipper, like upbeat lead who has a dark side that he explores. I mean, you could say that about Cooper.
To an extent, is like Dale Cooper is like so resilient though. He's like nothing gets him down. Not even being trapped in the Red Room for 27 years. He's just instantly like, I'm back. Yeah. Thumbs up. I am the FBI.
But especially the dialogue between Kyle and Laura Dern. Like
Diane.
I was Diane. I was almost like laughing because it's almost sounded like Tommy Wiseau dialogue. Not as bad, but just like, it's very strange these days. Like it's very like Greg being like, people are very strange these days. Like that sort of like broad encapsulating about the world dialogue. But it works. I think it works really well in this because like, I don't know, they're young people. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose it fits their conversation some because of that, because they're supposed to be teenagers. He's college, she's still in high school. But like you do see that with like conversations with the parents too, and it's like that doesn't. They're still kind of talking that way. That's really, he's so hard to pin down as a filmmaker because it's like, okay, how much of this, and I thought this before I watched any of his stuff, and I was just being like a cynical like outsider, like, oh, people, but still it's so hard, like even as a fan, it's hard for me to pin down like how much of this is on purpose and how much of it is just like maybe he's not the best with dialogue sometimes. I don't know,
Yeah, I think the thing with Lynch is that he's much more emotion based as opposed because
vibes.
He's
before, all about vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like before we hopped on, I was watching some of the supplements to this, and there's like an interview with like Angelo Badalamenti, which like this is their first collaboration.
Yeah, makes sense.
Angelo, who would like go, and man, I was like, at the end of it, it was tough to watch because Angelo died this year or like last year, and then he was talking about the Mystery of Love song, like recording that, and they couldn't find someone to record it. So who does he get? Julie Cruz, who also died last year. And it's just like this story. And then he's talking about David Lynch, and he's like, ever since this movie, we've never had an unkind word to each other, and he's my brother. And I'm just like, like Chloe in the other room was like, shut up, stop. What was I? Where was I even going with this? What did I start?
Dialogue,
music. So some of the supplements, they were talking about how he'll just tell Angelo, it's like, this needs to be more firewood, like for music. Like he just has ways of expressing himself where I guess when he's like coaching the actors on what he wants, he hardly uses like. He's not specific. He'll just say like you said, vibes. He'll say like feelings, emotion, and just be like, okay, do it. And I think that's the litmus test of if you can be in a Lynch movies, if you can work with his vibes based approach to it.
Yeah. Was there anything about like what vibes or what emotions did he tell Dennis Hopper to channel for this?
I didn't get that far, but Dennis Hopper was in some of the supplements, and he was apparently he was testing for the role, and he told David Lynch, I have to be Frank Booth because I am Frank Booth.
Oh, yikes.
Because apparently at the time, like Dennis Hopper's career was it's kind of like a John Travolta in Pulp Fiction type deal. Where like he kind of, because like Dennis Hopper had this big run in the 60s, like Easy Rider, like some of those movies. And then I think by the 80s, his career was kind of like,
kind of faltering or whatever.
And I think this was like a big comeback for him. This and
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which also came out the same year. So,
Oh, and it's funny because like Dennis Hopper was talking about like previous movies he'd done to this. I was waiting for him to mention Texas Chainsaw 2, and he does not. Unfortunately.
Maybe he did this before it. I don't know. They came out the same year, so who knows?
But I think the Frank Booth character is so funny, but legitimately like terrifying.
Yeah.
The look of him with that gas mask, like, I mean, there are so many iconic shots from this movie. But that one when they're driving out to like the dump and he like turns around and he's just like staring at him and he's got the thing on his face. Oh, he's so funny and menacing at the same time.
That's kind of what like coming into David Lynch's stuff, like with essentially, before The Return at least, but like essentially his whole body of work has already been made before I watched any of his stuff. And like I don't find Frank scary. It's just funny to me. I like it kind of bums me out because I'm like, I feel like I'm not getting the full effect of some of these scenes because like I know, like I've seen him on, you know, whatever number of lists of like top 10 movie villains or whatever, or like scariest characters, like he's often on there. But I just see the funny side. Like, dude, when every fucking time when they're at they go to Dean Stockwell's place, which is my favorite scene of the whole movie. Yeah. And he tells Wormtongue to like, he's like, get us some fucking beers. And then he's like, okay. He's like, do you want me to pour it? And he's like, no, I want you to fuck it.
Raymond, where's the fucking beer, man? It's right here, Frank. You want me to pour it? No, I want you to fuck it. Shit, yes, pour the fucking beer.
I've never heard somebody say fuck the way that he does in this movie, dude. and then yeah. Like right after that, Dean Stockwell's like, he's like, let's toast to you, Frank. And he's like, no. Let's toast to your health. And he's like, no, I don't want to waste it on that. Let's toast to fucking.
It is, yeah, every single Frank Booth line is delivered with, it's almost like, well, I mean, I don't know. It's like Ricky from Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, where like he just chose.
Not the worst comparison. No. Yeah.
Just like, whatever he's going all in on it. Mm-hmm. And I think what's funny is that he's supposed to be this very like scary, menacing character. Like the initial, you know, scene, which I do think is maybe not scary per se, but it's suspenseful. The scene where Jeffrey's like in the closet watching and he sees their initial reaction.
That scene's not really funny. Yeah, true.
No, but it kind of is, because what is she's like, oh, hi baby, and he's like, it's daddy, you shithead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like you see
now I'm going back and forth. I'm like, yeah, no, that part's funny.
Yeah, he's supposed to be menacing and scary, while also just like doing this like, I'm a baby, I'm a little baby kind of stuff. But he's also like gonna beat the shit out of you too.
Yeah. That scene, I had that in my head all week, like knowing that we were gonna watch this, and also that she was like, this cat was in heat this last week, and the boys have not been fixed yet, so we've like had to keep them separate. And one in particular is very noisy and very randy, so I've been like, every time he is, I'm like, baby wants to fuck. I've been saying that to my cat all week. Because he wants the baby, literally.
Yeah. Oh no. That's dark. Yeah, and I do think that there are definitely some Frank lines that are intended to be funny. Like, I know they're all very funny because of like Dennis Hopper's over the top performance, but it's almost, I really like this like who's on first kind of interaction that they have. So this is after Jeffrey, I think, has been like accosted. He's leaving Dorothy's place.
Yeah.
He leaves Dorothy's place, and Frank shows up with Bob Dorff and Jack Nance, who's, I love Jack Nance in this. He doesn't have a lot to say, but he's very funny.
He's always nice to see pop up in these, yeah.
It's the part where he's like, hey, you want to go for a ride? And Jeffrey's like, no thanks.
Hey, you want to go for a ride?
No thanks.
No thanks. What does that mean?
I don't want to go.
Go where?
For a ride.
A ride. Hell, that's a good idea. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, and that leads to like that whole extended sequence, what have you, is like the best part. Like where they show up and they take him to Dean Stockwell's to just like, I guess, have a beer and then leave. I don't know if they do anything.
No, they're
else
taking Dorothy to visit her son.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's It's been a few days, so I was like trying to
Yeah.
remember. And then they like take him out to that dump or whatever, and just kind of threaten him.
Right.
That's definitely my favorite part. I really like the part at Dean Stockwell's, especially just because like especially the scene, the famous scene where he sings in dreams the Roy Orbison song, and there's just like all these, like, there's just a lot of stuff happening. It's not like a ton of people, but they're like everybody's kind of like doing something in the background. There's like there's like a lot to just kind of like take in there that I really like appreciate. And it's, you got like all those people on screen that I like to see, like Dennis Hopper, Dean Stockwell, Brad Dourif, Jank Dance, and Kyle. Like, I like all those dudes, and it's fun seeing them all in there together.
Oh yeah, 100%. Laura Dern, I like a lot. Her introduction to this movie was like, I was like, okay, that's a really good way to introduce a character. And it's after Jeffrey takes the ear to her dad. I guess it's after that scene, which I love the scene prior, which is another example of that David Lynch character writing where you're not sure if it's supposed to be funny or not. But when he initially takes the ear to the police station, the guy like he kind of does like it's almost like a Michael from Arrested Development kind of thing where he opens the bag and he's like, all right, that's definitely a human ear.
Yeah, that's right.
But he just says it in this like chipper kind of way, like, yep, you're right, that's what it is. Uh-huh. like he might have mistaken what it was that he found. He's like, oh yeah, you are right, that is a human ear. Like, what else is it gonna be?
Yeah.
But so Jeffrey goes and talks to his dad later, and as he's leaving, you hear Laura Dern's character before you even see her, and she says, are you the one that found that ear? And then she like slowly emerges out of the darkness.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I was like, that's a good way to introduce that character. Mm-hmm. Because it's like I don't know, David Lynch loves the Wizard of Oz. Like I saw that Lynch Oz documentary type deal over the summer. Mm-hmm. And it's hard not to like try to find that kind of shit. And it's, I don't know if this analogy works, because their character's name is Dorothy, but I almost saw like a good witch and a bad witch parallel, trying to like kind of pull Jeffrey in either way, where like Dorothy represents this like seedy underbelly, and I guess Laura Dern's like the good witch. I guess that's as far as the analogy goes. But like,
wait, which one's Dorothy? That's
Dorothy. That's Isabella Rossellini.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was.
Oh no, not like figuratively Dorothy. That's why I said in this situation, Jeffrey would be Dorothy. But,
gotcha. Okay.
But it just added to the layers of the Wizard of Oz shit that the fact that her character's name is Dorothy.
Okay.
I don't know. I could be full of shit. But that's the fun with David Lynch, is that you can watch this movie as like a surface level, mystery noir film, and it works. But there are fun things to try to interpret and fun things to try to, extrapolate from it. Like obviously his whole deal with like suburbia and the dark underbelly, I feel like this is like the genesis of that sort of like interpretation of his movies, where every movie it's like, oh yeah, this is really about suburbia and like how normal people are just as dark and twisted as everybody else. Because like the opening sequence, which is like, the all-American firefighter guy with his little Dalmatian and he's waving, and it's very like, Leave It to Beaver. And then the sound design in the opening sequence is wild, where it like you see the roses and the white picket fence, and then you go deeper and deeper and deeper into the ground, and then it's just this almost like the industrial ambient Eraserhead, like and you see the bugs crawling, and it's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get little touches of that like Lynch darkness or whatever. diving into the IMDb trivia, there is a bit regarding the feelings of like if that first scene with Frank, how that's supposed to be taken. It says that David Lynch couldn't stop laughing off screen. Of course, like I should have guessed. I know that's how he works.
Oh, yeah. There's a similar to that. There's a great very much in that same vein in the booklet for the Criterion. Kyle says there's another scene when Isabella asks me to hit her, and I thought, I can't do this. I didn't actually hit her, but the fact that I had to go through the motion of hitting her was upsetting. When Jeffrey is in his room later and realizes what has taken place, he breaks down, and those scenes were challenging. I trusted David to guide me through them. Next paragraph. Amid all this mayhem, Lynch maintained a sunny disposition, tooling around the set on a pink bicycle with streamers fluttering from the handlebars, his pockets full of peanut M&Ms. So it's just, I feel like very similarly with like how I feel about the way that people like react to like Frank Zappa, if you will. The first thing that I always think when they hear his music is like, man, what kind of drugs was this guy on? You know? And it's like, none. Didn't do drugs. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Lynch, where it's like, man, this guy must be dark and twisted. Like, I think even in the supplements, Isabella Rossellini's like, was he on hallucinogens? Was he like hallucinating? Was he on drugs? And it's like, nope. No, he's not. He can like have those dark thoughts and those dark feelings and not just be like Marilyn Manson or whatever about it.
Yeah.
He's a guy who had 2 Coca-Colas and was like, this is the best day of my life.
Yeah.
Or like, it's like, all right, Steven Spielberg, I'll do your movie if I get to have a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing where like I wonder, I don't know if it's hard to tell if this is product placement or if again this is just his unique weird writing style, but man, you do not see like any other filmmaker or whatever, like they'd get shit on so much for like, oh my god, the product placement for Heineken in this movie and Pabst Blue Ribbon, I suppose, is just like, it's so bad. Like they'd get, everybody's like, oh my god, and this, do you see how bad that is in that Marvel movie where they have the can of Coke in the shot, and it's like, that's such blatant product placement. But in this, like, there's a whole conversation about how much, again, a very Dale Cooper conversation, but a whole conversation where Kyle MacLachlan talks about how much he likes Heineken.
Man, I like Heineken. You like Heineken?
Well, I never really had Heineken before.
You never had Heineken before?
My dad drinks Bud.
King of beers.
Heineken? Fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon!
and then later on, a future scene where they bring it up again, and you get the rebuttal about Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Heineken, fuck that shit.
Oh, man.
It's so like specific to the character that it's like because otherwise it's like Wayne's World, where it's like, the voice of a generation.
Yeah.
Like that's usually, it's like, oh, okay, this is how this movie was financed. Mm-hmm. Or it's like, oh man, everybody in this movie or TV show has a Chromebook. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Is this? And then you see in the credits, sponsored by Microsoft or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is. Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I don't think that was on Lynch's mind at all. He was just like, I wonder if that's just like a thought that he had, where he's, because that seems like a specific enough thing that it's like he personally is like, I like PBR over Heineken, and I'm gonna make sure people know.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna I'm gonna really show it to those Heineken fans with my my eloquent, well-crafted argument about how much better Pabst Blue Ribbon is.
Yeah. Yeah, this, combing through the IMDb trivia, it is crazy how many like different timeline versions of this movie we could have gotten with some of the original casting ideas. Like initially, the role of Jeffrey was originally offered to Val Kilmer, who turned it down, describing the script he read as pornography.
Oh.
Although he says he would have done the version that finally made it to the screen. Well, yeah, maybe you should have read the script then.
Well, there was like, I think the original thing was like way longer or something like that, or there was like
a
lot of material that got cut. I know.
Yeah, I think the original cut would have been almost 4 hours, which and they in the booklet they say that like people who have seen the 4 hour cut said that it would have worked. I don't know about that.
I feel like a lot of times when people get like that exclusive, like never like widely released cut of a movie, they're like, yeah, it's better. Like before the Snyder cut came out. I mean, I guess afterwards people still said it was good, or like there's people. I think similarly, there's people who have said like, oh, I've seen David Ayer's cut of the Suicide Squad, and it's amazing. It's so good.
It makes sense. It's actually really good if the studio's meddling with it.
And there's a difference between Blue Velvet and Suicide Squad, but but I think the principle still stands that I don't always take people who get those exclusive viewings take it with a grain of salt. I usually say. like from what I've read, some of the stuff that got cut, there was like a character that I guess was supposed to be Jeffrey's like college girlfriend, who I think might have had like a subplot, because like Jeffrey's kind of like one of his central conflicts is like who he's pursuing, because he kind of he loves Sandy, but I think he's like intrigued by Dorothy and like is very curious about that way of life. Man, though, one of the there was a one-liner Letterboxd review that made me laugh, and it's like, imagine like going through all of this to have sex with someone only for them to tell everyone that he put his disease in you. Oh yeah. That's such a vile way to put that.
And the way that she almost even says it like yeah, he put his disease in me.
Yeah, agreeing with it. Yeah.
Which I guess that scene was inspired by something that David Lynch had seen like as a child. I guess him and his brother were like walking down the street one night, and like a fully nude woman like came out of a house, and it was like, I guess you could say, I don't know if you would say like traumatic. I mean, it was like a something that clearly affected him, because he knew it was bad. Like he's like, whatever situation this woman is in, it's not good. And so when that scene eventually rolls around, when Isabella Rossellini like comes out around the house like completely naked, it is obviously not meant to be like erotic or like sexy in any way or form.
Yeah.
But I love that right before that, that's like the scene where like Laura Dern's boyfriend is like trying to run him off the road, and the movie kind of gives you this like, oh shit, it's Frank and he's coming to like kill him. And then it's like, oh wait, it's actually Mike, Laura Dern's boyfriend, who up until this point, he only really his only line was like, Sandy, like as he's watching her get in the car and drive away. But I like that as soon as like fully nude Dorothy shows up, Mike is just like, yeah, all right, whatever weird shit you guys are up to. Like he backs off immediately. He's like, I am not interested in this whatsoever.
Well, I like that. No, he's like, I think he backs off, and I think he says like, I'm sorry and stuff.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. But then you hear his friends as he like gets back in the car, they're like, oh, what the hell? I thought, like, are we gonna beat this guy up or something? Like they're still like ready to go for it. So at least Mike has some sense about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered, like, because he is, and again in this longer cut, maybe he had a more significant role. I'm sure he was in at least some more scenes, but in the end product, he does seem very like superfluous, like, and it almost seems like he's just there to like level it out, so it's to be like, oh well, yes, Kyle MacLachlan's kind of seeing two ladies, but so's Laura Dern, so you can't feel too bad for her. She's kind of, two guys. Maybe.
Yeah, because I feel like other than that little thing, she's sort of like the personification of like the moral good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, even that extended like dream sequence where she's describing like the Robins and how the Robins were all gone, and then like love wasn't in the world, but then the Robins came back. And her character is very just like spiritually good, I guess you could say. But even in the end, with like the mechanical Robin on the window with like the bug in its mouth, I wasn't happy that the Robins were back. Like that looked disturbing to me.
Oh, I see.
The little bug. I'm like, it still is like very uncanny and unsettling and creepy. So even though like, they're all in the house and there's like this dreamy filter, and they're like, I guess life is totally back to normal and good again. And then there's the Robin on the windowsill with like this bug, and it just kind of closes in on it. And I'm like, that doesn't make me feel good though. This isn't like, you're riding off into the sunset, really good feeling, happy ending for a movie.
Yeah, it's almost like the way that the whole end scene is done, even aside from that, because you get you go to the Robin and the bug, and then it kind of does a reverse of the opening where you get the fence, the white picket fence, the guy in the truck waving, and then maybe like the sky again or whatever. And it it's a very, very common theme of his, but it feels very dreamlike. So it feels like, even though, it does end there, there's no other sense to tell otherwise, but it feels like not right because it feels so artificial, kind of. It's like, is this really happening? And then it goes to credits and you're like, I guess it is, but it feels weird.
It's like this scene takes place immediately after Jeffrey shoots Frank in the head.
And there's like no transition. It's just he wakes up and he's like, everything is
It's a brand new day. Yeah. And it's like maybe that's part of it, because I feel like, that in the 50s, this is like they had just seen the horrors of like the Holocaust and World War II, but everyone's kind of got this happy-go-lucky, like, it's the 50s, everything's great.
Yeah.
But then again, this movie also feels like weirdly out of time and place. Like it doesn't really specify what year it is. Like the white picket fence and the fire truck, again, seems very like 50s iconography.
I was gonna say very extremely Twin Peaksy too. Like the way that like the characters dress, like the girls dress like they're like 50s schoolgirls. Bobby has his like leather jacket, like greaser look.
Yeah.
Even, like
the diner.
Yeah. But it's like, it's definitely not the 50s, but it's like everybody's kind of like dressing like that. There's like, elements of like the 70s, I think, with the one guys, the brothers. I don't know. I just get kind of 70s vibes from them, but.
And even like, I would say like Dorothy's apartment seems sort of 80s-ish.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, I think that adds to the sort of like unnerving, like dreaminess of the whole thing.
Yeah. Damn. Okay. Sorry. I'm skipping around the movie as we're talking about it, and I just noticed something I didn't notice before. Is there's the part where Jeffrey's kind of like he's staking out Frank, and he like sees him like get out of his car, and he like makes up that little like picture box that sits on his dashboard. Sitting right next to that is a bottle of Heineken, like label facing the camera and everything. There's a bottle of Heineken right next to the camera box.
Yeah, well, it's his stakeout. He's gotta have his Heineken.
Yeah. There's a scene early on where they're like they're looking at the ear in the morgue or whatever, and he's like, oh, it's pretty rough cut. Somebody must have cut that off with scissors. And then it immediately cuts to them cutting a yellow tape line with scissors. And I was like, that's pretty clever.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's
Yes.
something. That was my last note that I hadn't gotten to.
Also, it looks like the ear was cut off with scissors.
I will say when that scene does happen, I think because of that, and then immediately going to the scissors, it kind of made me like, oop, like wince a little bit, just because you get that like mental image, because he says, oh, they must have cut it off with scissors, and then scissors, and you're like, oh, like it kind of gives like a subliminal sort of like, oh god, they're gonna show it or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like anytime they do a sort of transition like that in a movie or a TV show. I guess I was thinking of one with like ketchup, but I think I'm thinking of a scene in Breaking Bad. I think it's Box Cutter. There's like a scene where they're mopping up Victor's blood after he slits his throat, and then it cuts to Walt and Jesse in like a diner, and he squirts ketchup on his like breakfast plate, and it's like it's a transition right from like that mopping up that big red pie, like just goop of blood.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I like it when movies do that kind of shit. Do you want to rate it then?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go ahead and rate it.
Who goes first? Is it me?
It's me.
Okay.
I went with a 7 for this one.
Okay.
It's like a higher 7. If we got more of that stuff, the stuff that I really liked. I need more Frank. I don't know. He's just such an entertaining character. I love Dean Stockwell is up there too. I love Dean Stockwell for his brief time, and also Dennis Hopper being like, he's so fucking suave, man. Look at you.
Yes,
Look at you,
that was
man.
another note that I had. He thinks he's the coolest guy he's ever met.
Yeah. and just the way that Dean Stockwell holds himself, like that face that he has like the whole time, where he's like trying to be like calm and cool, but like you can tell that he's just like unfazed by all of Frank's stuff, and he's just like putting up with it pretty much.
Wow, suave, man. You are so fucking suave.
But yeah, it's a lot of that, kind of like the stuff that I was talking about, like otherwise, where it's like it's that weird, campy, corny dialogue that I can't totally like get behind, I guess. But overall, I really like it. It's a definite watch if you're I'll say this, if you're interested in Lynch, and like I think this is maybe like the perfect gateway movie into his weirder stuff, because you get little hints of it, but it's still kind of like straightforward. It does get kind of intense with some of the like the sexual violence stuff, but it's a good gateway Lynch movie for sure. And yeah, so I don't know what else to say about it. There's a lot of stuff to love about this one.
Yeah. And there is a lot of stuff that I love about this one, which is why I'm giving it a 10. I think it's I absolutely loved it. Liked it my first viewing, but really being able to just watch it in its entirety, like taking in the vibes of it and not just like the plot elements and like the story. I think it's great. It's very funny when it wants to be with Frank and all of his shenanigans, but it's also I think the cinematography is really beautiful, especially in that scene with Kyle MacLachlan and Isabella Rossellini, like with their first meeting, when I think it's used a lot in like material, like publication materials, but it's like where she's laying in the bed and he's over top of her, like I think all of that kind of stuff.
That's for the video. I have that. That's the poster that I'm using. For
oh, is it? Awesome.
I'm pointing to where it is on the.
Yeah, I've got the.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's beautifully shot. I mean, and because it kind of has those Twin Peaks vibes, which I really like. I love the dialogue that, even though it's still kind of slightly corny and weird, it's pure Lynchy, and I like that too. I mean, I'm sure I could find things to critique, like the weird high school dance that they go to is kind of silly.
That's another part that
where they're just like macking in front of everybody, but that's the scene with the Julie Cruz Angelo Badalamenti song, and I'm I'll give it a pass.
That's good, yeah.
And I think, I think that's perfect what you said about it being a good entry into like the more weirdy, Lynchy stuff, because like Mulholland Drive would be, would be much more of a difficult entry point to get into.
Yeah, I'd say if you're going like go to this, and then you can maybe try out like Eraserhead. I mean, that's pretty extreme, but it's not like, at least there's nothing like super. I don't know. Maybe that one's a bit too far. I don't know. I feel like the deepest pit is. I haven't seen it, but the deepest pit I think is Inland Empire. That's the end game.
Yeah, I have not seen that one. Lost Highway's pretty wild, but I think Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive I think are like, I would say it's like peak, like his peak material.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great movie. It's great because you can watch it, like I said, as like a surface level mystery noir thriller. Mm-hmm. But then there's like these little things that you can just kind of key onto and think about, like just vibes and ideas and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think even Lynch himself would tell you that like there's no right answer.
Yeah,
it's just vibes. So
yeah, I saw a video. I was doing a little. I'll do these from time to time. Little Roger Ebert dives on YouTube.
He didn't like it, did he?
No, was it not about. It wasn't about this movie. But
okay.
But no, it was him like on the red carpet, in like 2001 or whatever, when Mulholland Drive was up for Best Picture, and he like sees David Lynch and he's like, I thought your picture was amazing, and he's like, everybody has so many questions, but I gotta tell you, I love the feelings that it made me feel, and there's so many things to think about in this, and I don't think you're really supposed to know the answers, but as long as you are entertained and you get swept up in the movie, I think that's pretty good, and I think you did a really good job with that. And then David Lynch is like, he's like, you got it right on the head, Rob, or Roger. And he's like, that's right, good for you, or something like that. And so yeah, that's his whole thing. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sorry, one more thing. There's like, when I was watching that Angelo bit, he was talking about, because Angelo was called in to train Isabella to sing Blue Velvet. Mm-hmm. And like there's like he had her come to his studio, and they set up the piano, and they set up a tape recorder to record him playing it and her singing it. And I guess on their first meeting, Angelo and Dave, like he played it for David and he put the headphones on, and he said that David took the headphones off and said, "That's Peachy Keen." And Angelo was like, "I'm like this Italian guy from New York City. What do you mean Peachy Keen? What does that mean?" But it's like, that's how you know that you've like knocked his socks off if he uses, you know, like That's right on the head, Angelo. Like that kind of shit. It's like, that's, nope, you got it. That is exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah. Who knows? He comes from like all his favorite movies are those like classic like 50s movies. So that's probably why he like talks like Jimmy Stewart all the time.
Dude, we were just in Christmas time and there was a clip going around. It's like David Lynch gave this like master class. It's like one of those video things that you can like, purchase. But there's like a clip of him like just teary-eyed watching Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh.
And it's like, I mean, I've seen it used as like a meme, but it's just him holding a cigarette, looking up, and it's like, and he's just like, that's how you know, like Jimmy Stewart's got the stuff. So yeah, he loves that shit.
Yeah. You put Beau if we want to. I saw you also watched Love Actually, and I almost am more interested in talking about that. Maybe because that was more recent on my mind. I don't know.
We watched Love Actually the other night. It was okay. It was extremely cheesy, I thought. I'm kind of surprised that some of the characters just like didn't really have like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be more, I guess it is an ensemble cast, but like the girl that like Alan Rickman was interested in, she just kind of disappears. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, the Andrew Lincoln shit, that's like done immediately after that scene with like the cue cards with Keira Knightley, and yeah,
that's the last scene with them, I think. Yeah.
I don't really know how much I really have to say about it.
Okay. I was just curious.
The father son with
Liam
Neeson. That was kind of fun. I like that.
Yeah, I like that one. It is. Yeah, I would say maybe the cheesiest movie, like, ever. It's up there for that corniest ass movie. That I think is it's just kind of for me. I think it's redeemed by the cast, by like a lot of the people that make it watchable, I suppose.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like Bill Nighy being the like washed up rock star who doesn't give a shit anymore is just like, I for a second thought that he was gay.
I did too. That's what I thought at first. Yeah.
And then it's just like, no, I respect you. Thank you.
Yeah. And I thought that was kind of cool. I liked that.
I feel like there's even a part where like their face, like they embrace, and I feel like their heads got kind of close. Where I feel like the movie was like, yeah, you thought that's what we were going with, huh?
Yeah. No, this
also,
is 2003, idiots.
Yeah, none of that gay shit. I did think the scene where like the one little horny British dude goes to America and immediately runs into like 3 hot chicks in a country bar who go home and have a threesome. January Jones, who I was like, oh, it's Betty Draper.
Yeah.
Like once I saw her in that, I can't not see her as Betty Draper.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I love that. Like, his entire arc is just I don't like British girls. I'm gonna go to America and bang, and that's like the setup for like raunchy early 2000s comedies where it's like, oh, we gotta lose our virginity before we graduate high school or something.
Yeah.
And there's all these like mishaps and whatever, but in this he just does it. he faces no setbacks or repercussions. He just goes,
waltzes and right into it.
Yeah, exactly how he's like, yeah, they're gonna think that like my accent is sexy. Like Americans love British accents, and yep, they do. He's right. That's exactly what happens. And it's like, yeah, it's like 3 like models: January Jones, Shannon Elizabeth, and someone else. I
I
recognize.
think Denise
all of them.
Richards is in it.
Maybe. Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know if
that's
she's-
it. Yeah. And then when he comes back to England at the end, there's also like Carmen Electra, I think,
Yeah.
or something.
It's like, I brought one home for you too, and they're like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the kind of stuff that kind of made me like appreciate it a little more, is like that it's not all like sappy romantic love stuff, that it's just like, yeah, we are just gonna have this one where this guy goes, and it's just kind of like a little one-off thing where he just goes to America and gets laid and that's it. Or then, you know, like the father-son stuff, which is like really innocent and sweet, and it's kind of all over the map. But yeah, it's by no means like a great movie, but I think it's entirely watchable. You know.
Yeah. It's an enjoyable experience.
Yeah. And I think I was interested in asking you because of like, after I watched it, just seeing like the vitriol that people spew at it, like, which they like fucking despise it. It was just kind of funny. Just watching the movie and how just like sappy sweet it is, and that people could have like such hatred for it. It's just funny.
Yeah. When Hugh Grant calls Margaret Thatcher a saucy minx. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, I really liked him in the movie too. Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like
Hugh Grant's funny.
It's a Christmas romantic comedy. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Go watch Medea's Christmas if you want to like truly hate something.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, last year we watched The Family Stone. Have you seen that?
No.
That's kind of another romantic comedy Christmas movie, like ensemble cast.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah Jessica Parker plays like she's like the New York City cosmopolitan, like basically Sex and the City character.
Sure.
And she comes to visit this family, and the family is like, they're the kind of family that just like relentlessly teases everybody, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. And she kind of bumbles and makes an ass out of herself a little bit, and like what's her face from Mean Girls? Not Lindsay Lohan.
Rachel McAdams.
Yes, she's in it. She's like the one that gives her the most shit. And immediately I was like on Sarah Jessica Parker's side. But it's like,
that's funny.
But it's like she's supposed to be the kind of like snooty cosmopolitan character, and it's like she hasn't done anything to these people. Like, she's like very cordial, she's very nice, and it's like the stepdad syndrome from like Liar Liar and all those other movies where it's just
okay.
You're not cool like us and all of our inside jokes, so we hate you. Yeah, that's another ensemble Christmas movie if you want to, watch that next year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Dermot Mulroney, Sarah Jessica Parker, Diane Keaton, Luke Wilson, Claire Danes, Rachel McAdams, Craig T. Nelson. Like,
it's a solid cast.
Pretty heavy hitters.
Yeah. Well,
I did not mean to go on that huge digression about the Family Stone. I'm sorry.
I don't think anybody does. But a movie like The Family Stone. Well, kind of on accident. Definitely not on purpose, at the very least. I figured now's a time for a return of a segment that I think I did once very early on that I thought I was going to do more, which is TJ's Otaku Corner, where I just talk about...
Oh, yeah, you got a couple...
yeah.
A couple cinematic... Japanese stuff.
Yeah, didn't... I didn't even realize until I put the second one on there. I was like, oh, yeah, these are both anime. All right, sure. Welcome to TJ's Otaku Corner. There's literally nothing different from any other segment on the show. It's just I'm talking about anime stuff, and that's it. namely the newest Miyazaki picture, The Boy and the Heron, and the new like little mini series thing on Netflix, Pokemon Concierge. I feel like I have more to say about The Boy and the Heron, but even though I liked Pokemon Concierge a whole lot more. So I'll just briefly say that Pokemon Concierge is great. It's 4 episodes and they're like 15 to 20 minutes, so it's like an hour and a half watch. And apparently they don't have any plans to do any more, so it's kind of just like a little movie, more or less, but it's just broken up into episodes. And it's like it's such a chill, like it's just a one of those kinds of chill vibes movie where it's literally just the concept is this girl goes to a Pokemon resort on this island, and she works as a Pokemon concierge, which is basically she just works at this island paradise resort thing, and people visit there and Pokemon do, and the conflicts are very small and minimal, and there's not a whole lot of drama. It's just kind of people hanging out on an island with Pokemon. And like one of the episodes is like there's a Magikarp that can't swim, so it has a little inflatable tube around it, and then a Wingull, another Pokemon, steals it from it, so they have to get the Magikarp's inner tube back or else he can't swim. And but it's a good, if you just want to like have a good time and just kind of smile for a little while, it's stop motion, which is really cool. It's like
I'm looking at pictures of it and it looks really neat.
Yeah, really really nice, like artistic style. I watched like a little behind the scenes thing after I finished it, and they did really big like sets for like the island. And it's just like you watch it and you're like, man, I just want to like be there. It looks so nice and everything.
It makes me think of like the beginning of the first Pokemon movie from like 2000, like the
I know
Pikachu's Vacation or whatever that happens before that. That's what it makes you think of.
Yeah. And she kind of, all the people that work there kind of have their like partner Pokemon who just kind of like pal around with them, and hers is Psyduck, and he's so fucking
of course
cute. I've never like super been like, I like Psyduck, but I've never particularly like went towards him in particular, but they make Psyduck so cute in this show. So yeah, it's kind of like perfect for what it is. I thought it was great. It was a really good time. And then The Boy and the Heron was good, but like the way that I put it is like it was good and I did like it and I really liked it at points, but it's like because of like the positive feelings that I have for it and because it's Hayao Miyazaki, it's also incredibly frustrating for me. Because I just have so many issues with like the pacing and how it was told, because the whole idea with this one is it's very similar to for his movies to Spirited Away, which is a tough foot to start out on because that's my favorite Miyazaki. It is like a top 5 movie period for me. So that's your handicap is pretty low there for that. It's not exactly like it, but it's the thing is that like he has a parent figure, I guess, go missing, and so he has to go to this kind of parallel magical world,
fantastical. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Spirited Away, she has to go rescue her parents. But it's a lot more loose structurally. Whereas like with Spirited Away, it's like, okay, well, one, it doesn't take like an hour to get to it. Like it takes a while before you get to this alternate world in this. And I get that, like, this is a more pensive movie. You can tell it sits a lot more with these moments and stuff. But I wanted to see the heron. I wanted to see all this cool magical Ghibli stuff, and Sometimes their realistic stuff works for me. Grave of the Fireflies is one of my favorite movies from Studio Ghibli. And there's no magic in that one at all.
No. Anti-magic, almost, if you will.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wasn't really, like, I didn't care much about the characters, like, before we get to this place. And it takes a really long time to get there, and then it just kind of like bops around. It feels, speaking of Lynch, it feels very dreamlike in how, like, they'll be in one place, and then, like, there'll be a little kind of self-contained conflict, whatever, and then they'll just kind of, like, fall through the floor, and they'll be in a different location, and there'll be another kind of thing going on. And then it's like the last act, like, I think the movie's like just about 2 hours, and I would say the last, like, 30 minutes, all of a sudden there's a parakeets, which, like, the idea with this world is that, like, it's this tower in this woods, and animals just kind of wander into it, and when the animals, like real life everyday animals, wander into it, they become like humanoid, or like they have like personalities, and they're like, so a bunch of parakeets that live in the woods all fly into this tower, and now they're like this kind of army of parakeets, and they have a parakeet king who's like very like militaristic. He has a sword and stuff. It's voiced by Dave Bautista, which is good.
Oh, perfect. Hell yeah.
And it looks like him too, to be
Of course
honest.
it does.
But they literally, like, it's not until the last act where they show up, and like they're like the antagonistic force that they have to kind of overcome to, achieve the end goal. Whereas in Spirited Away, it's like 10 minutes, 5 minutes before they're actually in the other world, and then her parents get turned into pigs, and then bathhouse. And like the entire movie with Spirited Away, you know what her goal is, you know what she has to do to do it, you know who the villain is, you know, like, you understand, like, you see the goal, and you see what Chihiro needs to do to get to it. And this one just felt like it was lacking that. And again, this, like I said, it does feel more Lynchy. It feels more dreamlike. It feels more vibes like. But I wasn't connecting with the characters. And I think with something like a David Lynch movie, where I could say, like with Blue Velvet, like, I don't connect to Jeffrey, really. I don't connect to the characters, but that doesn't affect me as much with a David Lynch movie, I guess. I think his vibes level is higher, to where, like, I don't have to, like, the main guy in Eraserhead, like, how do you connect emotionally to that character? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I too have been on vacation from work, and weird stuff has happened to me.
Yeah. But I don't have that feeling with Miyazaki movies, where I do kind of feel like I need to connect emotionally to the core story more, and I just couldn't really with this. The main character felt kind of flat to me, and yet when it gets to the fantastical stuff, animation's great. I love it when it gets to that, but it felt kind of surface level to me. The Heron's great though. The Heron is awesome.
Yeah.
I watched the dub, and it's Robert Pattinson. He's
Hell
awesome.
Yeah. He's
You
fun.
can hardly tell, because the whole time he kind of talks like this the whole time, so you wouldn't even know that it's him if you didn't know. But every time he's on screen, and his banter with the main character, Mahito, that's the kid's name, is good. I like that. But ultimately, again, at the end, when we walked out of the theater, we were like, what was his, like, he didn't really serve a purpose. The Heron, I don't think, needed to be there at all, really.
The titular Heron?
Yeah.
In the title of the movie?
He kind of, like, early on, before he goes there, the Heron is the one that kind of, like, leads him to it. He's like, he's the one that brings him into this magical world. But then he remains like a main character. But after he gets into this alternate world, he doesn't really Doesn't really do much as far as like not like a crucial like he has to be there. He is like a very important critical part. He's kind of just like a sidekick, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, based on the other Studio Ghibli movies I've seen, I do feel like that the intro sequences, you are just immediately thrusted into like the main like problem in the story, or like the central thesis. It's like they're pretty swift in that way, and I don't know. I feel like it might be in a more modern trend of having these sort of like, meditative kind of meandering movies, not necessarily like about nothing, but like just, I don't know. There's a certain way that movies were done. Yeah. There's a way that movies were done back in the day, where it's like, all right, we got 90 minutes, we got to tell this story, like boom, boom, boom. How do we get this? Boom, here's a character. Boom, here's a conflict. Here's what's going on. And I feel like we've talked about that on the show before, where like we love it when movies like, like your non like auteur movies, I guess. Like it wouldn't really work to like you said with like a Lynch movie be like man, why aren't we like faced with the central conflict of the movie immediately? But it's like for, kids movies, tight 90s, like kind of like of those genres, yeah, they kind of get right on into it, and it's great. Yeah, that's a bummer to hear that. It just kind of I don't know. That's a bummer. I think we're still gonna see it. Like I'd like to see it. Just
still do it.
Just
I think I am kind of an outlier. It seems like it's getting overwhelming praise, and I'm happy for it. I love you. Yeah, Miyazaki-san. This is TJ's Otaku Corner, so I'll use that formula. It's almost your birthday. Happy birthday. I love you. Live another 100 years, please. Yeah. Don't retire.
I do think that's probably part of it, though, is like he was supposed to retire, and then he's like, nah, I'm coming back for another one.
Yeah.
Which, like, even today I saw the news that John Williams has apparently like rescinded his retirement and is
saw that too,
coming back.
Yep.
At 91. Jesus.
That's crazy. And Miyazaki's like mid 80s, I think.
91.
Miyazaki?
Oh, sorry, John Williams. Sorry.
Oh, John. Yeah. And despite like me not like loving this one, I did still like come away from it feeling like, man, when he's gone, when he's done, it's like at Studio Ghibli's like it's not gonna be the same. Because Isao Takahata is gone, and he has my other like. He's the one that did Grave of the Fireflies, for instance. The other guys, I've seen a couple. I don't think I've seen any of Goro Miyazaki's movies, which is his son. And then
didn't he just have one come out? And I think people really did not like it.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen it. I'm going to see it. But he did Earwig and the Witch. It was their first.
That's the one.
CG movie, and it looks awful. The CG looks terrible and ugly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to see it, but I don't want to.
That's gotta suck to be like the son of like such a titan in the industry, and then like put out something that everyone just universally goes,
that's ass. Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know, kind of like David Cronenberg and Brandon Cronenberg. Like, I feel like I didn't see Infinity Pool, but I saw a lot of mixed reviews of it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just because you're a Cronenberg in name doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's just going to be like, oh, well, I got to see this thing because it's the son.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of his, and they're like, the ones that I've seen are like okay, but they're just kind of missing stuff to make him great for me. Like, I think my favorite one of his that I've seen is Possessor, but it's still falls a little flat for me. But it was all right. It was decent.
Yeah.
And to Goro's credit, he did do 2 like traditionally animated ones that I think are generally better received than Earwig for sure. I think that one's kind of unequivocally like the worst Ghibli movie by most people's standards, but he also did Tales from Earthsea and From Up on Poppy Hill, which I've heard Poppy Hill's pretty decent at the very least. So so yeah, there's other like filmmakers there, but it just I feel like it's not gonna feel the same, you know. Once he's gone. So yeah, still love you, even though I didn't totally vibe with this movie.
Yeah, so I finally saw Beau Was Afraid. I don't know what, I just had the impulse to just finally sit down and watch the damn thing. It's been on my list for a long time. I like Ari Aster, like Midsummer. I like Hereditary. I like Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, I didn't realize Nathan Lane was in this.
Yeah,
Nathan Lane's character is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ended up giving it 4 stars on Letterboxd. Again, I think mostly because of, like, I guess vibes, because I don't know if I want to say that, like, I had a good time, because that's not really, like, the emotion that I felt during the entire thing. The initial, like, 45 minutes is incredible.
That's why
if the rest of the movie had been like that, I would have been totally happy with, like, him just dealing with something as simple as going across the street and buying a water bottle.
I know.
And just, like, his entire world falling apart.
Yeah, that's honestly, like, that played a big role in why I stuck with a 4-star rating too, because I think that first act is perfect. Like, I wouldn't change a fucking thing about it. It's so good. It's so fucking funny when he, like, there's so many moments, like, and it was the realizing, like, in the theater of, like, oh, this is the kind of movie this is. Where, like, I remember he's, like, walking down the bridge. I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters. But he's, like, walking down the bridge, and there's just, like, all, like, this shit in the background. You're like, oh my god. I'm like, this is over the top. This is a little over the top. And then it's like he gets back to his apartment at night, and there's, like, that tatted up dude with, like, the contacts, and he just, like, stares him down, and then it cuts, and you just see him, like, coming into focus, sprinting down the road. And I was like, okay, it's on purpose. Okay, like, I get it now.
Like, this is not the first time he's had to do this with this guy.
Yeah. And the graffiti that says, like, it says, like, kill kids, shoot dope. I don't remember what it is, but
yeah,
there's a good mantra.
It's Yonkers essentially.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
I love the graffiti of the guy pissing into his own mouth, and it says "Don't mind if I do" underneath it. But I think maybe what prompted me to really want to watch it was I saw some Reddit post where there's a lot of, like, theories about this movie, like what is it really about, what are the themes, what's he trying to say, what's real, what's not real. But there was a recurring thing that people were pointing out, and I don't know if you initially talked about it when you kind of did a little post-ep thing about it on the show, but did you pick up on the ice cream dude?
I don't know. I don't know.
So basically, if you look really closely, there's little Easter eggs of this dude all throughout the movie. At the very beginning, you can kind of see him, like, by a vendor, but there's this dude, this bald dude who's big, who has, like, 2 ice cream cones, and he is constantly, like, staring at Beau, like, licking his ice cream and staring at him. He's on the cruise boat in, like, any background. Like, there's that scene where, like, young Elaine and young Beau are, like, on the boat and it's nighttime, and this dude is, like, walking around looking at them.
Okay.
And there's, like, another shot. I think it's on the boat, but it's like if you look all the way down the hallway, you can just see half of this ice cream dude like in a doorway. Kind of like you know, like all the weird naked people in you know Hereditary. Yeah. And
or
people
like
are
Mike
like
Flanagan's hidden ghosts in a Hill House.
Yeah.
I know he does
Yeah.
that also too, yeah.
And people were like speculating that like, oh, is this like, did this guy like molest young Beau or whatever? There's like a bunch of theories about like who this man is in his life. But I think what I really, hold on. Anyone else? They refer to him as the Predator. Here, oh shit, yeah, he's all over the place. It reminded me of Too Many Cooks.
Oh,
which obviously he becomes more and more prevalent as the video goes on. But yeah, this dude is just all over the place in this movie, and sometimes it's like,
I do remember this.
Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes he's like literally just like, I think on the boat scene he's like literally walking around like looking at them.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think what's great about it is that you know, similar to like Blue Velvet, you can kind of watch it and just take everything at face value, or you can like look at all these other like themes and ideas that kind of sprout up. And I think, go ahead.
And here's the thing with how I watch these movies is like, or how I watch movies is like, you know, there could be something where like, oh yeah, that was like a secret like key to his trauma, or it could literally just be, it's just a guy in the background, and it's another thing that, you know, Beau is afraid of. Like that's equally great.
Yeah, like I was reading people like speculating, and I'm like, that's fine. But I think for me, seeing all of that, I was like, I just like that it's creepy. I like that he has this creepy dude in the background, and you're kind of like rewarded for noticing him. Just like, what the hell is this guy? And why is he here? And why is he like, to the point where like I was even like scanning certain scenes later to see if he was there, because I was like expecting him. Like the scene at the end when Richard Kind shows up.
Yeah,
it's like the family lawyer.
Yeah.
That ending sequence reminded me of. Have you seen Pink Floyd's The Wall?
No. Are
you familiar with the album?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That scene reminded me of the trial at the end of the album, where it's like he's basically like being judged. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And it's like there's like even a part where his mother comes flying in. And, you know, like the song "Mother" is like, "Oh, Mama's gonna check out all your girlfriends for you and make sure nobody dirty gets through."
Album.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You know, the way you made them suffer, your beloved wife and mother, fills me with the urge to defecate. And then in the movie, it's an animated sequence, and the judge is literally a giant. Like, it's like someone bent over, and the judge is an asshole yelling at him.
Oh shit!
It's like fully animated. It is wild.
Oh damn!
But that you know, that ending sequence made me think of that. But yeah, I definitely want to watch it again and just I loved it. I thought it was great.
I keep nudging Kalia every now and then to watch it. So I'll do it some more so I can check out the Ice Cream Man.
Yeah, I started telling Chloe about it, and she's a pretty generally anxious person, and I told her about the scene where at the beginning he's like, he takes his pills without water, and then the water stops working in his house, and she's like, no, I can't watch that. I can't.
It's so awesome. Just everything is bad. And then he like fucking lost it in the theater when he like gets into his bathtub to like hide from other people, and like the camera tilts up to the guy on the ceiling, and he's like, no. It's so fucking funny.
I think that's the same guy. When he initially leaves, the guy that's like, help, you gotta help me, and he like tries to follow him into the store.
Yeah.
And then he's like pulling out pennies. He's like, you're 20 cents short, and he's looking over, and they're just filing into his apartment. Or like when the person's like sliding notes under his door and it's like, I ask you to turn it down and you make it louder. It's like there's no music.
It's like literally one of the funniest things I have seen in a while. It's so funny. And I think made even better because, like, I think I said this when I talked about it before, but like literally we were the only people laughing in the theater, like consistently at the movie.
Did you say people walked out?
There was definitely not
the same amount of people in the theater when the movie was done,
because we were sitting kind of towards the front, so I didn't notice them when they were leaving. But yes, there was less people at the end.
Was it the penis monster?
I don't know. It could have been that. Honestly, I could see it being the play sequence. Maybe I could see it being maybe when the girl drank paint or something.
Oh my god!
There's a few moments where I was like, I could maybe. I could see people walking out at a few. Oh, maybe when he bangs that girl and then she dies.
Oh, Parker Posey. Just, and his huge balls.
Yeah.
Like and she's like, oh damn, you ripped a hole in that thing. like the idea, I interpreted that as like he doesn't have like a birth defect or a condition. He just like hasn't come in like 45 years.
Yeah.
So his balls are huge.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that realization where he like, because yeah, his mom tells him that like your father had a heart attack at the point of orgasm and his dad before him, and if it, you know, basically like if you have sex you will die. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh I didn't die. Yeah. And yeah, and it cuts up to her and she's just like and then like, yeah, he flips her off and then like two people just come in, grab her by the leg and head and carry her away.
Yeah. That's the point where I cuz the ending with his mom is like there's good stuff there, but it does kind of go on, like that's definitely where I would trim it out, to where I thought at the time and afterwards, I think that the point to end the movie, I thought it would have been awesome is like she dies, the people come in and drag her out, and then it's just, it holds on Joaquin Phoenix and he's like looking like horrified. You don't see the reverse, but then you hear his mom and she's like, now what did you do? And it just holds on him, and I was like, cut to black. That's it. That's the movie. I
do like that idea.
I like that more than the extended, like all the stuff that you get with her, even though after that's where you get the penis monster. I mean, that's a pretty significant moment too.
Yeah, with like the dude from Inglourious Bastards who's playing this war veteran guy.
Wait, which part?
Jeeves.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. The one who's like hunting him down, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like there's like a scene earlier where he like bursts into the room and he's got like syringes sticking out of his back, and Nathan Lane's like, it's okay, buddy. He told me this morning that he loves you. He loves you a lot, Beau. He's just like, like that again. Like, yeah, like you said, the play scene might have gone on for a little bit too long, might have been indulgent, but like that whole sequence ends with like Jeeves showing up and people just exploding.
Yeah.
He like meets this guy who he's like, are you my dad? And then before he has a chance to answer, he explodes.
Yeah.
I liked the blend of just insane humor with like the drama. Like the ending sequence with like his mom yelling at him seemed very like, you know, Hereditary, like I am your mother, like that kind of shit.
I am your mother. Yeah.
Which I think, it's much more affecting in Hereditary than...
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, yeah, I had a... Oh, man. I'm just glad that something like this exists and can still be made.
Yeah.
Where, like, I don't know, people ripped on Babylon when it came out, but I thought technically Babylon was, like, amazing. Like, I don't know, if you can get these auteur directors budgets to make these, like, 3-hour-long epics about whatever the hell they want to, like, I am all for it.
Yeah, there was we did have a handful of movies last year that were like nice to see as far not successful. Didn't do too well, but like
this movie
like
was
you said,
a bomb.
That this was so out there. Or there's The Creator, which was a totally like original sci-fi movie, not tied to any existing IPs.
Yeah,
low budget but looked great. Like, kind of some inspiring, major theatrical releases. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Not successful necessarily, but they weren't like independent releases that were only at like select theaters. They were available. It's just not a lot of people went to see them. But at least they're out there. It's cool that it's not just branded Disney product stuff.
Even Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon. I still haven't seen it, but that's another like long movie.
Another,
yeah, that's true.
Existing based on. I mean, so is Killers. It's based on historical figures, but
right.
Sorry,
we can pull the next movie. I just I have Beau is Afraid pulled up on the other screen, and I went to the play section. And like the dude that's like the actor on the stage just gets the knife hooked at him.
Oh man.
And then the guy, like, there's like this rainbow circle thing, and he like pulls a handgun out of it. It's just
yeah, damn. I will have to bug Khalil watching that again. All right,
Beau, run. Okay, I'm done.
No, I hadn't. Okay, next week.
January's long.
It is, yeah.
We have like 2 more regulars and then a dud.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hot damn.
We are doing another a 2-time director for the show, but probably not one that you'd expect. From 1998, directed by Thomas Vinterberg, we're watching The Celebration. If you can't remember, he's the guy that did The Hunt. The one.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the one?
This is the one. It has one of the guys from The Hunt too, Thomas Bo Larsen. This is his. I think this is like his main. Was it Dogma 95 movie, which was like a kind of like film movement that like him and Lars von Trier were like kind of trying to do in the 90s. So I'm sure we'll get into that because for next week, because it's like there was like basically like they imposed this like strict set of rules onto like making movies. And
yeah. This is ringing a bell now.
So yeah.
For a second, I thought you were talking about Another Round, which I do want to see.
Yeah, that sounds good too. So it's don't know where it's available. Actually, it's not showing up right now.
Awesome. The Celebration streaming
Criterion Channel, at least.
Boy, that's it.
Festin is the original title, which I like. So yeah, better get Criterion Channel if you want to watch it before next week's episode. These episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube and Twitch in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, I'm your candy-colored clown. you can call the Sandman, or you can call me TJ. And with me as always.
And as always, there's so many.
You can just say fuck like 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently there's 56 instances and all but one are said by Dennis Hopper. And as always, you ever been to Pussy Heaven?
What did he say? He said no. Ah.
Nope, never. Yeah, nope, never been to Pussy Heaven. I love the cadence that Jack Nance delivers when he says that. Nope, never been. And I'm Nick.
And that's it. Let's fuck.